Welcome you all. In the last session, I explained you about the switch statement. Okay, switch statement is a multi-way decision statement. In a switch statement, the expression will be evaluated for sequence of case values. So, once the case values match, the corresponding block will execute and it will terminate from the switch. If any one of the cases not match, it executes the default statement and it will terminate from the switch statement. So, the expression must be an integral expression. The case value must be integer value or the character value. Okay. In this session, we are going to discuss the one more important concept. The concept is looping. Okay. In the control branch and control statement, the statements will be executed one time. Okay. In the if statement, if the corresponding condition is satisfied, it will execute the corresponding block. Example, if condition is satisfied, it execute the true block. If condition is not satisfied, it will execute the else block. So, it will execute only one time. But there is some situation, we need to execute the statement repeatedly for n number of times. Sometimes we need to execute some of the statements repeatedly for n number of times or until the condition is satisfied. So, we use the concept of looping for executing the statements. Okay. Looping is in looping, a sequence of statements will be executed repeatedly for n number of time or until the condition is satisfied. Until the condition is satisfied, the statement will be repeatedly executing. Based on the condition execution, the looping statements are divided into two types. One is entry control loop and exit control loop. Depends upon the position of condition checking. The control statement looping control statements are divided into two types. One is entry control loop and exit control loop. Okay, every loop statement consists of two parts, two elements or two segments. The one segment is called control segment or control statement and body of the loop. Control statement and the body of the loop. Based on the position of the control statement, the loops are categorized into two types. One is entry control loop and exit control loop. Okay, in the entry control loop, first the test condition will be evaluated. If the condition is true, if the test condition is true, it will execute the body of the loop. So, it will execute the body of the loop. After executing the body of the loop, the control is go back to test condition. Okay. Once again, the test condition will be evaluated. If test condition is true, again it will execute the body of the loop and it will go back to the test condition. This process will be iterate. Until the condition become false. Once the condition become false, it will move to the end of the state, or the control is transferred to statement X. So, it will skip the body of the loop and the control is transferred to statement of the statement X. So, here the body of the loop executes only when the condition is satisfied. If the condition is not satisfied, even single time the body of the loop will not execute. So, here the rest condition is satisfied, then execute the body of the loop. If the condition is false, then it executes the statement X. Okay, that is in the entry control loop. In the exit control loop, first the body of the loop will execute. Later the test condition. If test condition is true, the control is transferred back to body of the loop. The test condition is true, the control is transferred back to the body of the loop. If test condition is false, the control is transferred to statement X. statement X. So here body of the loop execute without checking the condition. Body of the loop will execute without checking the condition, means at least one time the body of the loop will execute. At least one time the body of the loop will execute. So here first the body of the loop will execute, later condition will be checked. If condition is true, body of the loop will execute again, then test condition will be executed. If test condition is true, once again it go back to the body of the loop. Then after executing the body of the loop, it will check the test condition. If test condition is true, the body of the loop will execute again. This process will iterate till this condition becomes false. Once this condition becomes false, the control is transferred to statement X. Okay, here in the loops, two categories based on the control statement. So based on the position of the control statement, the loops are divided into two categories. One is entry control loop and exit control loop. This is also called as pre-test and post-test. Here the condition will be evaluated before executing the body of the loop. That's why this pre-test loop, then this is post-test loop, because the body of the loop will execute first, later the test condition will be evaluated. Okay, this about the looping statement. So looping is used to execute the sequence of statement repeatedly till the condition is satisfied, till the condition is satisfied, or till the number of times. So we can execute the loop particular number of times, or we can execute the sequence of statement repeatedly till the condition is satisfied. Okay, in general, the looping statement, a looping process consists of four steps. So every loop in general consists of four steps. Step one is initialization. Initialization of looping variable. Initialization of looping variable. So here we need to initialize the looping variables. Next is test condition. Test condition. So here we check the condition. Based on the condition, the body of the loop will execute. So we need to write the testing condition is very carefully. If the testing condition is not proper, if you not test the condition properly, the statement may execute repeatedly or infinite number of times, or uneven number of times the loop will execute. Okay, when you are setting the condition, when checking the condition, the testing condition must be very proper. So testing condition would be proper. If the condition is not proper, then the statement may execute infinite number of times. Okay, the first step is the initialization of the looping variables, or setting of the looping variables. Second one is test condition. Body of the loop. Okay, the sequence of statements need to be executed that should be present in the body of the loop. So in the loop, if the body contains only one statement, then no need of brackets. If it is more than one statement, then it should be in the brackets. So if there is a more than one statement in the body of the loop, more than one statement in the body of the loop, then the statement must be present within the pair of brackets. If there is only one statement, then brackets are optional. The last one is the last one is the incrementing incrementing or updating the looping variable. So, the first step is the initialization of the looping variable. Here we set the initial value to the looping variable, then the test condition. Depends upon the test condition, the body of the loop will execute. After executing the body of the loop, we need to update the looping variable. So, either it may be increment operation or decrement operation, or increment or decrementing the value or updating the looping variable. Okay, these are the general steps need to be followed when we writing the looping statement. Okay, these are the general steps in the looping statement. The C language supports the C language provides three types of looping statement. One is the first statement is the while loop. Second one is do while, and the last one is the for loop. Okay, there are three different types of loop: while loop, do while loop, and the for loop. These loops are categorized into two types. One is condition control loop. Condition control loop and counter control loop. Okay, the first one is condition control loop and second one is counter control loop. In the counter control loop, we know how many times we need to iterate the loop. So the user knows how many times the statement need to be executed repeatedly. But in condition control loop, number of times is unknown. It execute depends upon the condition. It execute depends upon the condition. So there are two types of loop: condition control loop and counter control loop. In the condition control loop, the repetition times is unknown. So how many times the loop need to be executed, that is unknown. But in counter control loop, number of times is known. Example, we need to display the statement, a set of statement 10 times. So we know how many times you need to display. If you want to print the student details who passed, how many students are passed, that is depends upon the condition. Whether the students are passed, as all subject marks is above 35, then we can print the number of students. Otherwise, it is unknown. So how many students have passed, how many students have failed. Okay, that is condition control loop. So the first one is condition control loop and counter control loop. In the condition control loop, number of steps is unknown, but in counter control loop, number of loop iterations is known. Okay, here while loop and for loop, while and for loop are entry control loop, and do while is exit control loop. Okay, while and for loops are entry control loop and do while is exit control loop. In while and for loop, the condition will be checked before executing the body. In do while, first body of the loop will execute, later condition will be verified. Okay, this about the types of loop. In C language, it supports three different types of loop: while loop, do while loop, and for loop. Okay, while and for is entry control loop and do while is exit control loop. In general, the loops are categorized into two categories. One is conditional control loop and counter control loop. The first looping statement is the while loop statement. So while loop is the simple looping statement in C language. The general form of while loop statement is while test expression then body of the loop. Body of the loop and close bracket. Okay, this is a general form of a while statement. So here first the condition will be evaluated. First, if condition is satisfied, then it execute the body of the loop. If condition not satisfied, it will skip from the loop. The flow diagram is test condition, okay, this is an entry, okay, test condition. If test condition is true, it will execute the body of the loop. If condition, after executing the body of the loop, the control is transferred back to while statement. If condition is false, it executes statement X. It executes statement X when the condition is false. So the test condition returns true or false. So if it is 1, means the condition return value is 1, that is condition is true. If it is 0, condition is false. If condition is true, it will execute the body of the loop, then control transfer back to the test condition. If test condition is false, it will exit from the looping statement. So the process will be iterate till the condition is satisfied. Once the condition is not satisfied, then it will terminate from the looping statement. Okay, it will terminate from the looping statement. Okay, now I already mentioned that while loop is an entry control loop because the test condition is tested before executing the body of the loop. Here test condition is satisfied, then only it execute the body of the loop. If condition is not satisfied, it will terminate from the looping statement. Okay, now let's consider an example. Okay, the problem is program to display numbers from 0 to 100. So now I want to display the numbers. From 0 to 100. So 0 to 100 I need to display. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So first statement is hash include stdio.h void main. Then here I need to print the numbers from 0 to 100. So my initial value is 0 and last value is 100. So here I'll use one variable called I is a variable. So I'll set I is equal to 0 because I need to start from 0. So I is equal to 0. Then printf %d I. Now if I display this statement, it will display I. What is the value of I? I is equal to 0. Next I want to display next number 1, next 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to repeat this statement for how many number of times? 100 times. So here I will set the condition while I less than or equal to 100. So if I set less than equal to 0 or less than equal to 100, then it will display 0 to 100 means 101 numbers. So here I'll put bracket. So first it will check the condition I less than equal to 100, then printf %d I, then I plus plus. So I need to update the I value. I is equal to I plus 1, then close bracket, then close bracket. So here first I is equal to 0. After checking the condition, it will display the value of I. Now I value is 0. Now I value is incremented by 1. I is equal to I plus 1 means the value of I is incremented by 1. Now I is equal to I plus 1. I is equal to I plus 1 means I is equal to 0 plus 1. 0 plus 1 means 1. Now the value of I is equal to 1. Now the control is transferred back to while statement. Now here it will verify the condition 1 less than equal to 100. So condition is true, then printf %d I. Now the value of I is equal to 1. It will display 1. Next, I is equal to I plus 1. Now I value is incremented by 1. I is equal to I plus 1. I is equal to 1 plus 1. Now I value becomes 2. Next, it will check the condition I less than equal to 100 means 2 less than equal to 100. Condition satisfied, then it will print the value and increment the I value. Then later go back to the loop, it will check the condition. So this process will iterate. This process will iterate till the I value becomes 101. So once the value of I is equal to 101, it will terminate from the loop. Once the value of I is equal to 101, it will terminate from the loop. It will terminate from the loop. Okay. This is about the program for displaying the numbers 0 to 100. Now I will consider one more number, one more program to display square of first n numbers. First n numbers. Okay. Now here you consider the first n number means 0 to n. So here I need to give a input value n. So if in case now you consider value of n is equal to 10. Value of n is equal to 10 means you need to display the square of first 10 numbers means 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, 4 square, 5 square, 6 square, 7 square, 10, 8 square, 9 square and 10 square. If in case if the value of n is equal to 100, then you need to display 1 square, 2 square like that till 100 square. So in the previous program we know the condition 0 to 100, but here we need to get the value of the n. So we need to get the value of the n. So hash include stdio dot h void main n. So we need one variable for iterating the loop. So I'll use variable is I. Then I need one more variable n. Then to store the square I use sq is a one variable. Then sq is equal to 0. Next printf enter the value for n. Enter the value for n. Now I need to read the value for n. Scanf %d address of n. So now I will read the value for n. So here I have mentioned I need to display a square of first n number. Square of first n number, that is 1. So if in case if you consider 0 square is 0. So it is not required to calculate 0 square. So we start from the 1. So 1 square, 2 square. So here I need to set I is equal to 1. So I will set I is equal to 1. Next, while here the condition I less than or equal to n. So in the previous program, I have displayed the numbers from 0 to 100, but here I need to display square of the first n number. So I is equal to 1 to n. So less than or equal to n. Next, sq is equal to n I into I. I into I. So I into I means I square. I square printf percentage %d is the square of I means percentage %d slash n double quote close. So here sq comma I. So after displaying the square of the number, then I need to change the value. So initially the value of I is equal to 1. Now I need to change the value of I to 2. So here I will perform I is equal to I plus 1. I is equal to I plus n. We can also write I plus plus. We can also write I plus plus, that is the increment operator. Then close bracket, then close bracket. So here this statement is initialization statement. Okay, initialization step. This is one. Second one is test condition or test expression. So that's the second step. Third step is the body of the loop. Then this statement is the fourth one, updating. Updating the value. Okay, the next step is the updating the value. So these four steps is present in all the programs: initialization, test condition, body of the loop, execute body of the loop, and updating the value. So in this program, we are displaying the square of first n numbers. If in case if you want to display square of 10 to n, 10 to n. If you want to display the numbers from 10 to n, so simply you can change the initial value, that is I is equal to 10. Okay. If in case if you want to display 100, then you can change the initial value. So if you want to display first 10 numbers, you can set I is equal to 1. I is equal to 1. Okay. This is a program for finding, for displaying the numbers. So here these statements are repeatedly executing. So these statements are repeatedly executing till this condition is satisfied. Till the condition is satisfied. Once this condition is not satisfied, then it will terminate from the looping statement. It terminates from the loop statement. Now here you consider while 1. If in case if you return while statement like this, while 1 indicates true. So this loop will execute infinite number of times. So this loop will be execute infinite number of times. If in case if you specify 0, the while loop will not execute because 0 indicates false. Even if you write while 11, this is also a valid statement, but it executes infinite number of times. Any positive number indicates true. Any positive number or negative number indicates true, then 0 indicates false. So in this case, while 11, this statement will be executed repeatedly for infinite number of times. It will execute infinite number of times. Okay, next program, this program to display even numbers from 0 to 200. 0 to 200. Okay, now I want to display only the even numbers. The even numbers means 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, like that. We need to display only the even numbers from 0 to 200. Okay, here I need a variable, looping variable. So I will set I is equal to 0 while here I less than or equal to 200. So this loop need to be iterate for 200 times. So here printf %d /n then I /n I. So here I am displaying the I value. Now if you want to display even numbers, I need to do incrementation 2 times or increment 2 values. So here after displaying 0, next number is to be 2. So in the previous program we have increment the I value by 1 time, but here we increment I value by 2 times, means I is equal to I plus 2. I is equal to I plus 2, then close bracket. So here first it will display 0, then I value is incremented by 2, next value is 2, 2 less than 200, conditions 2, it will display the value, then I value is incremented by 2, that is I is equal to 4, then test condition, print, increment, test condition, print, test increment. So this will be iterate till the value of I becomes 202. Once the value of I becomes 202, it will terminate from the loop. Okay, this is for displaying the even numbers. If you want to display odd numbers, just one correction. The correction is instead of I is equal to 0, you need to start I is equal to 1. So here 1. Next you will check the condition, increment the value. 1 I is equal to 1 plus 2, then it becomes 3. It will print the value. Next 3 plus 2, 5, like that it will increment. So if you want to display only even numbers, your I initial value must be 0. If in case if you want to display odd numbers, then the value of I becomes 1. So you need to set the value of I as 1. So if it is set 1, then it display odd numbers. If it is 0, it will display even numbers. When you are displaying even or odd number, the increment size must be 2. I is equal to I plus 2. Okay, the next looping statement is the do while statement. Just now we have discussed the while statement. So in the while statement, the body of the loop executes only when the condition is satisfied. The body of the loop executes only when the condition is satisfied. If the condition is not satisfied, the body of the loop will not execute even one time. The body of the loop will execute even one time. So in some occasion, some situation, we need to execute the body of the loop at least one time. We need to execute the body of the loop at least one time. So in order to execute the body of the loop one time, we have an alternate called do while statement. So while is the entry control loop and do while is the exit control loop. So while is entry control loop and do while is exit control loop. So general form of do while statement is do body of the loop, then close bracket, condition while test expression or test condition. While test expression, then semicolon, test expression and semicolon. In while statement, there is no semicolon at the end of the while statement, but in the do while there is a semicolon at the end of the condition. So here first the body of the loop will execute. First the body of the loop will execute. After executing the body of the loop, it will check the condition. It will check the condition. If condition is true, it will execute the body of the loop again. It execute the body of the loop again. Later it will test the condition. If condition is satisfied, again it will execute the body of the loop. If condition is not satisfied, it will terminate from the looping statement. Okay. The flow diagram of do while statement is body of the loop, then while test condition, if condition is true, the body of the loop will execute. If condition is false, then it execute statement X. So first it will execute the body of the loop. After executing the body of the loop, it will check the condition, test condition. If test condition is true, the control goes back to body of the loop, execute the body of the loop. Then after executing the body of the loop, it execute the test condition again. If test condition is false, it will move to statement X. Okay, here the test condition will be done at the bottom. Test condition will be test at the bottom. So here the body of the loop execute at least one time. Even if the condition is false, it execute the body of the loop at least one time. So that's why do while loop is called exit control loop. While is entry control loop. So while is pre-test, do while is post-test is also called as while loop is top testing and do while is bottom testing. Do while is bottom testing. So the do while loop is used when we want to execute the body of the loop at least one time. If you want to execute the body of the loop at least one time, we use the do while statement. So do while is exit control loop or post control loop or bottom testing loop. So there is the general general form and the flow diagram of do while statement. Okay, let's consider an example program. In this program, we are displaying the numbers from 0 to n. We are displaying the numbers from 0 to n. So here you clearly identify the difference between the while statement and do while. So here the initialization, the first step. Then in the while loop, at the beginning we test the condition. Here we are not test the condition. There is a keyword do. Here we print the value printf %d/i. Here we are printing the value of I. After printing the value of I, incrementing the value of I is equal to I plus 1. After incrementing the value, we are checking the condition. The condition is while I less than n. If condition is satisfied, it will go back to the loop again, print the value, increment the I value, and once again check the condition. So this process will iterate. Till this condition is satisfied. If you specify n is equal to 0, still condition is false, but it will execute the body of the loop once. Okay, this is example program for do while statement. Okay, now print the even numbers from 10 to 200 by using do while statement. Void main and I am setting I is equal to 20. So I need to display I need to display the numbers, odd numbers from 21 to 200. So do, so here I have set I is equal to 21, do printf percentage d slash n double quote close comma I. Then I is equal to I plus 2. I is equal to I plus 2 while I less than 200 semicolon. So here I have set I is equal to 21. Then first it will print 21. Later 21 will be incremented, means I is equal to I plus 2. Now the value of I is equal to 23. Now 23 less than 200, condition will be satisfied. Then it will go back to the loop. Then it will print the value 23. Later increment the value 23 plus 2, 25. Then 25 less than 200, condition is true. Then it will execute the loop, body of the loop again, and by printing the value of I. So this will be iterate, this condition, this will be iterate till the value of I becomes 201. So once the value of I becomes 201, it will terminate from the loop. Once the value of I is equal to 201, then it will terminate from the program. Okay, this is a program for displaying the odd numbers from 21 to 200 using do while statement. Okay, now I'll consider one more program. The program is to find sum of n numbers, using while and do while statement. So sum of n numbers means, example, I'll specify n value is equal to 100. So I need to find the sum of n numbers, for sum of n numbers, that is 1 plus 2, then 1 plus 2 plus 3, then 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Like that we need to form sum of 100 numbers. So I'll write two programs, one using while statement, another is do while statement. So while main, then int I is equal to 1. I'll set I initial value I is equal to 1. Then sum is equal to 0. If I specify sum of n numbers, so I'll consider sum of n numbers. So int n, printf, enter the value for n. So I'll read the value for n, scanf percentage d address of n. So I'll consider the one. I have already initialized I is equal to 1. So while I less than or equal to n, I less than or equal to n. If I enter n is equal to 200, so I need to find sum of 200 numbers, that is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 200. So I need to find sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 200. So here I set the condition I less than or equal to n. Then sum is equal to sum plus. So I already defined sum is equal to 0. Initially sum value is 0. So sum is equal to sum plus I. Sum is equal to sum plus I. So initial value sum is equal to 0. I value is equal to 1. 0 plus 1, 1. Later I'll increment the value of I by 1. I is equal to I plus 1. Next, close bracket. Okay, close bracket. This will be iterate. Till the value of I becomes 201. This loop will be iterate till the value of I becomes 201. Next, I'll print the value. Printf sum of numbers is equal to percentage d slash n, then sum, then close bracket. Okay, here first is initialization, test condition, body of the loop. The body of the loop is sum is equal to sum plus I. Then there is the update value I is equal to I plus 1. Then after that I am printing the result, that is printf sum is equal to sum of numbers is equal to percentage slash n sum. Okay, this is the program for finding sum of n numbers using while loop. Similarly, I write using do while. Void main int I is equal to 1, sum is equal to 0, then n, printf enter the value for n, scanf percentage d address of n. Now I have inserted already I is equal to 1. The first statement is do. In do while statement, the first statement is do, then sum is equal to sum plus I, sum is equal to sum plus I is equal to I plus 1. So first I need to perform sum, later I will increment the value of I, then close bracket, while I less than n, okay. Here after the termination, I will display the result, printf sum of numbers is equal to percentage d slash n, then sum, then close bracket. So you can see the difference. In the while statement, while is first, but in do while, do is first, then sum, execute a body statement, body will be execute, update, then the last is the condition checking. So the major difference between the while and do while. So in many of the question paper they ask the difference between while and do while. So while is the entry control loop, do while is exit control loop. While is entry control loop and do while is exit control loop. So the syntax is initialization, test condition, body of the loop. The syntax of do while is do is keyword, body of the loop and while statement. While is entry control loop or pre-test, do while is post-test. While is pre-test and do while is post-test. In while, the body of the loop will not execute even once. But in do while, the body of the loop execute at least once. Execute at least once. Okay, there is a major difference between the while and do while. While, pre-test, do while, post-test. Here the body of the loop will not execute even once. In the do while statement, the body of the loop will execute once. The syntax while, test expression, body of the loop, do, test expression, while statement. Okay, these are the difference between the while and do while statement.